receive a phone call, just answer it and say yes. In Dutch.
Yes.
Say ja.
Okay.
Ja, jawohl. Priscilla.
Ja, prima.
It takes a while because my computer is pretty slow because it's usually not running it properly. Click on this shit. See, mouse click and it should open. It's fine.
This is with all the songs.
I mean, it does.
I don't have a stream to run.
Five different things.
I don't have a stream to run. I have 1 minute. Huh?
Do you need me today or no?
Oh, I need everybody. God as well. Hey, Google, stop.
Okay, so you don't need me. Thank you.
I need everything because nothing works. So today is going to be a fun session.
Good luck.
Hello guys, welcome to lesson 8.2, which is going to be completely pointless lesson, okay? So this lesson,
No lessons are pointless.
I'm actually an Android run by Google, you know, so now she shut me up, so I need to restart and maybe I will speak again. So what I wanted to do in my crazy thing is actually to make a push notification from our AI Siha website to come to our AI Siha mobile app, okay? But just like everyone else was struggling to get AI Siha mobile app to run, so was I trying to get it to run. So first things first, I was like, yeah, it's easy, I just update this package JSON. But I wanted to then run it on iOS, okay? And for iOS, you have one extra step, you have to install pods. Whatever the pods are, you know, there are some additional files that iOS needs. So that keeps failing. And that keeps failing because even if I updated package JSON to say use version 10 of Google services, it still wants to use version 8. So I was like, okay, so let's kill this completely and rebuild iOS and stuff like that. Which then worked to the point that I started installing those pods again, and again it says, I want version 8 and version 8 is not compatible. It's like I just deleted everything that possibly refers to version 8. Why do you think there is a version 8? So I Googled that and then it's like, hey, you need to install it again. So I installed it again, but then installed version 14 of those Google services. I like, and Google services version 14 require React Native version 75, whatever, I don't care, so I installed that, and then that didn't work because, so I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired of this whole React Native crap. They need to sort it out because these versions, they don't work at all. You know, if I spend bloody 3 days trying to figure it out on 3 different occasions and I couldn't get it to work, then maybe it's not me who is stupid, maybe it's just this whole thing is stupid. So it's lovely when you create awesome project, that works fine-ish, you know, but as soon as you add a feature or two, boom, it doesn't work anymore. And then you move it to another computer, for another developer, they have slightly different version of Node.js and all the other stuff, and then problems. So I was like, okay, let me do Ionic instead, you know, because I can build this with Ionic. So then I tried to install Ionic, but I right now have a white page instead of some demo text. So no idea what's going on with that. So I guess I won't be showing you how to set up push notifications with this whole thing because I can't get a single app to work. Okay, what I will do right now is I will quickly try to get completely different app which is not related to any of this working. Maybe it will work, but it is Ionic app. Okay, so let's see, can I get that one to work in 2 minutes? If I can't, then I'm going to do completely different API lesson that I didn't anticipated. I'm going to show you something different. We are going to go to Postman and get some data from somewhere and do that instead. Typically on Thursdays I have you guys do your homework, but today I decided not to do that homework because I wanted to continue this complex lesson, but as you see it's so complex that even I can't figure it out. So yeah, great lesson, great success. So it's going to be really fun today. Okay, so let me switch to this thing here, and as you can see I have a beautiful white screen. At least it launches, which is great. All right, so what I'm going to do is exit this fake Siha app, and I think I have this Blender Kitchen or Blender Venue. Okay, Blender Venue. So if I type Ionic Serve, okay, this is going to start a little web server, all right? And with this web server, because Ionic is just using pure HTML, JavaScript and CSS and Angular and whatever you want, then you can have it in browser. So as you can see, the app actually launched, and hopefully that's my username and password. And when I click login, nothing happens. So I guess it's not my username and password, but at least we have a login screen here on this Blender app. Okay, so it works, but that's not what I want, because I can't do push notifications to what's called to the browser. Okay, I have to push it to the actual device, and in my case it's a simulator. So what I need to do is do that. Okay, so hopefully, well, of course not. So in order to run this, I need to add few things, okay, such as capacitor, such as this, and such as, okay, let's see what's going on, all right? So here I do have iOS, capacitor plugins, okay, so far so good. So let's see what's going on, all right? I love these iOS development instructions on their website, okay? So let me just look at this with together with you for a second, okay? So you can run Ionic apps, which we just ran, and I got that login screen, with on iOS simulator, that's exactly what I want, using capacitor or Cordova. Okay, what the hell is capacitor, what the hell is Cordova? So they all use Cordova, and Cordova is something built by Apache guys, I think, if I am not mistaken. So they built this like little package that talks to the device natively, so transfers some sort of HTML components into native components. So, and it runs on both iOS and Android. So Cordova is the one that this Ionic stuff used because it was just available, so they said, fine, let's use that. But I think since then they developed their own version of that called capacitor, which is like more modern, better, whatever they claim to be. So I think that this app should work with capacitor, okay? Now, in order, this is very important with these stupid web apps, you know, these cross-platform apps. You can't just make it work in browser. You have to make it work in simulator, but you also have to make sure that it builds for both Android and iOS. Okay? Because yes, I managed to run it on simulator, and I think this is brilliant, but running on simulator is not what I want to have as an end product. I have to package it as a full-blown application. How does it work at the moment? At the moment, if you are running React Native, you start with that command serve in one terminal, and then you run the application in the other terminal. So this one is like a little server, which then simulator reads compressed HTML, CSS, and so on, JavaScript, whatever it is. So there are two separate things, but on a real device, you don't have a little server serving you HTML pages. That has to be packaged, bundled, and put with the app itself, okay? Then app has to be signed with code signing keys, so we know who built it, et cetera, et cetera. And that process always fails, always, okay? And fails for completely different reasons. So you can say, hey, all my plugins are working brilliantly, and then you start to building the app, and then you realize your plugins actually don't work, you can't use them anymore in some weird cases. So you have to take out the plugin and then destroy all the pages that you build with that plugin because you can't build it. So it's very important with these stupid Ionics, React Natives, and so on, that you manage to actually build the app, not just run it in a simulator, okay? So for Apple, for iOS, we build and sign the apps using Xcode, okay? And Xcode has some sort of extension command line tools which you should install once, probably you have with this command here. So I have that set up, okay? And then I can set up my development team, which is even worse, but I have done it on some computer, maybe not on this one, but it doesn't matter right now. Because for Apple, you must have a developer account on developers.apple.com. You have to pay them $90 or something like that every year and create your company on their things, and then you'll log in with those credentials, and then that will manage your app, signing keys, and all the other stuff, okay? So,
Even if we're just simulating.
not for just simulator. I don't need it for just simulator, okay? So I don't think I've done the whole process here on this computer. I have it on that computer over there. Okay, so inside Xcode, you can also make sure that you have a simulator up and running, all right? But I have a simulator, you just saw it on my screen, so that's already set up. And then it says, fine, Cordova setup. So if you want additional, if you want to run Cordova, you need to do this. This section is not necessary for capacitor, okay? And this is now what I hate about this documentation, is that, well, if I don't need it for the capacitor, why didn't you build 2 pages, you cheap bastards? You know, each page costs like £5 million to run or extra. Okay, so they could say, hey, here's a Cordova setup, here's a capacitor. No, they just mixed it up. So one paragraph is this, one paragraph is this. So I have to very carefully read what am I copying, pasting, okay? So no to Cordova, project setup. IO and capacitor, generate a native project if it doesn't already exist. Well, native project already exists, okay? And it does say capacitor, 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 okay? So I think that this one has, for capacitor, for Cordova, set the package ID, I guess that's done, but we can see, and say Ionic capacitor open iOS, so this will open it in Xcode. Okay, that doesn't hurt.
Don't you have to run Xcode first?
No, they should launch the Xcode. But it says Xcode workspace doesn't exist. Run capacitor add iOS, which is that. Okay? So I think I have it, but obviously it doesn't recognize it for some reason. So, as I said, I'll spend a few minutes on this one, but I don't believe I will get it to run, but anyway.
Maybe it's the file.
Already installed.
So you know, so this is what really annoys me with these things, that they didn't manage to create a simple way of doing anything, basically. Okay, so.
Can we delete?
Or we could delete. We can keep going, you know. Delete iOS, move to trash. Okay? So is it installed now, mister? Ah, it's setting. But it doesn't work.
That's like, I had a similar issue when I did the Proton stuff, and like I had to like rename a gazillion files, because sometimes it asks you to do that, like to add like a random set of like 7 letters or something behind the name. It usually tells you, but
No, usually tells you, you know, but the thing is that, you know, I want to teach you something, you know, and one of the lessons is, okay, how far I keep clicking on this lesson and get you guys waiting for something useful, because I can read. The iOS platform is already installed. I just deleted it. Okay. Resolve, Blumen table, error, occurring, exited. What the hell? This is not even telling me what's wrong with it. Ah, could not resolve the dependency.
Core. Is this like the node module?
Yeah, no. Because probably I installed capacitor newer version, so this says capacitor core 2110, and on this one, which I just did here,
3.5?
does it say 0.5 somewhere?
Yeah. Right on the mouse.
Capacitor core 31351. Okay? So one thing what developers used to do is ensure backwards compatibility. Okay, so you make a new version of whatever you made, you want people with old versions to still be able to run your code. Okay, so let's say I had 6 functions in version 1. In version 2, I need to keep those 6 functions exactly the same and add 2 more, and that's my version 2. But now, these days, they say, why don't we just delete those 6 functions and rename them and do whatever we want, and then they are not compatible anymore. Yeah, it's for me, this is a nightmare, okay? So I can't run this app because my capacitor version here is different than that one, and Node.js is different than this one. So I'm like, no, okay? This is horrible, you know. I need to make sure that we get the things under control. So it works for all of us without any issues that we have. This is the guidelines, this is what you need to install, and then boom, it's up and running, no problem. Now another problem that we have with these apps is typically with the themes, okay? So I don't want just to have an app, I want my app to look good, all right? I want my app to look really nice, and I want to be able to customize everything the way that I want it to be run, okay? So what I did before is, can I run Voexy theme in Ionic? And I managed to actually get it to run, okay? So I'm thinking, you know what, now is the time to actually make this as a template app, okay? So I have my Worksy pages as mobile app pages, and then I can just delete, open, close, whatever I want to do and add functionality there, okay? Yes?
Isn't Vexy using JavaScript?
Yeah, but this is all using JavaScript.
But this is more TypeScript, so that you're importing the JavaScript from somewhere?
TypeScript, TypeScript. This is such a mesh, okay? Because when you look at any of these pages, okay, the actual pages of this app, and I'm not going to show you this one, I'm going to show you pages here, okay? So pages, and let's say event page, which shows some event, okay? So this is TypeScript, okay? You're absolutely right. So in the TypeScript, we have our functions here, okay? This,
HTML?
it's not exactly HTML. Because in HTML, you don't have ion header, okay? And then somewhere here, this one is just hard-coded for this app. Let me show you a different one. Let's say home page HTML. You have this NG, which stands for Angular. So, as you can see, while kind of controllers use TypeScript in this one, the front is Angular, but it also has this ion row, ion call, ion crap, and so on. So it's a mix of things, but the good news is it runs in a browser. Okay, so I can run it in a browser, great, but I want to run it in a simulator, which not so great, and I want it to run, to be able to build it, and I want it to look like how I want it to look like. Okay, so what I will do is create a template Ionic app, all right, which will hopefully run that stuff that I just mentioned, Worksy. We'll see how far I get with that, but not today, not on this lesson, okay? Because I can't even get it to run properly. So today I'm going to talk about APIs, you know, but I just wanted to show you the issues that you guys are having running this stuff. Okay, and you feel frustrated and you maybe feel, oh my God, I'm stupid, I can't figure this out. That's not you, okay? You're either as stupid as me or whoever built this didn't do a good job. Because we live in 2020, we don't live in 1972 where the bloody thing, everything had to be typed in terminal. And why do I have to do that? Why can't I just, you know, drag and drop components, put everything, you know, why is my development not easy, you know? Nobody cares. So, yeah, so I'm not going to do this bit here, okay, because mobile apps don't work, so I'm going to switch to my websites, okay? Close all. Okay. So this is a Siha app. I'll close all these. All right. So I discussed internal APIs. All right. What if I want to do external APIs? Okay. What if I want to get external APIs to, I don't know, to do dictionary or to Google translation or to do something like that, okay? So I put one text and it gives me a translation text using external APIs, okay? So maybe I can do something along those lines, all right? Or if I look up the word, it tells me what type of word it is, all right? So I will try to do something along those lines. So, but I need to find external APIs that I'm going to use for free, okay? So let's start English dictionary free API, all right? Free dictionary API, brilliant. That's exactly what I wanted, okay? So the basic syntax of URL, blah, blah, blah. Example of word hero, you can see that. Okay, let's see, does it work if I just paste it in the thing? Okay, it gives me some stuff, great. If I type a different word, let's say, I don't know, alligator, definition not found. Okay, maybe I didn't spell it right. Word chair. Okay, so it works. So I like this API. It's relatively simple. You can try it here. So if I type chair, same thing. So I didn't have to copy paste it. Okay, and I can donate money to these people. I will not show you how to donate money. All right. So what I want to do is create a simple thing, but I will describe it in a text format. Okay. Before I start all this programming, okay, I need to have a plan how and what the hell I am doing. Okay. So I want to have a page. With just like they have a page with the input box to put a search word. And I can make it complex or simple.
Do you have time for the complex?
Oh, have time for complex, okay? So let's do Ajax call to API. So when I submit the search word, it does not load a new page, but displays result on the same page. Okay? Because you've seen this many times. You type, press enter, it doesn't go and load the page with the result, it shows it on the same page. So I'll try to do that, okay. So, but my page is not going to call the API directly, okay.
Why?
It will call my controller that I will build for this purpose. The controller will make a request to the API, handle any issues, decode the data in the format I like, and return that to my page. Okay? Because there are a few things that can happen. Okay, you make a request, their service is down. This service, free service, you know, they might stop working tomorrow, but they might stop working in 3 seconds. Okay, so if that happens, my controller has to say, well, something went wrong, please try later. Okay, if the user submits a word which is not found or is misspelled, it needs to display some sort of error message. You know, hey, check the spelling, whatever not. And if it actually works, I don't want to display all this stuff to my user, okay? And let me zoom in here a little bit, okay? So my word is chair, okay? I would like just this definition, okay? So from all this data, I would like the definition. And maybe I can use the example. But see, I have multiple definitions and multiple examples. So for the word chair, I might have 10, but for other word, I might have 3. So I'll just pick up the first one to keep it simple. So yes, they give me lots of information, but for my sample, I'm just going to modify whatever they send to me and display this in a hopefully simpler manner, okay? So that's why I want to use my controller to handle all these possible cases. Any questions? Okay, so far no questions. So let me go to my Visual Studio Code and I will start with roots as usual. Okay, so I have, I think you have search, okay, and similar search results, see. So I'm going to create a new root, and it's going to be get, and it's not going to be suggestions. Get roots for word lookup. Okay, I'm looking up for one word, okay? So look up, I think that's a relatively good URL, so /lookup. It's going to go for the lookup controller. And it's going to open the function index, okay? So that's my web roots. So inside the controllers, I don't have a lookup controller. I'm going to copy this one and paste it. So I have this. I'm going to rename it. Okay. Now what I like to do is actually Control-C this, okay? Because when you type, maybe I spell this incorrectly, so if I rename this and paste, I know this is now exactly the same one. And here I can also paste that. I don't need that. Function index. I have function index. And I don't need create, store, show, edit, update, destroy. I don't need any of these. Okay. So what I'm going to do first of all to make sure it works, I'm going to say dd here or something like that. So I just get that message when I go to this root. Okay. So appsforce.com, which I already have here. So if I say look up, okay, so I know that my root works and my controller is there, everything is set up properly. I don't need suggestion controller anymore. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to return view lookup, and I don't need to pass any data to it. Okay, so just give me the view lookup. Okay. Now view lookup, of course, I don't have, so I'm going to go to resources, views, all right, and add suggestion probably is the closest one, so I'm going to copy that one and paste it, and then rename it, not blade. Okay, and then I have row and I have users create and the CSRF field. Let's see what happens if I just reload it. Okay, so it's add suggestions. Okay, so instead of add suggestion, of course, I'm going to have this. This is going to be my search field. I don't need this one. When I click that, I need to get my results. All right, so not bad. Start right column, so I don't have right column. Pump. All right, let's refresh. Great. All right. So what I'm going to do quickly is it's not going to be a suggestion, but look up. Okay. Now the form. This is not going to be exactly a form, because typically form, when you click submit button and then it goes to this URL. I don't want this to be a form. Okay. I want this to be a button using Ajax stuff, okay? So I'm going to delete this form stuff, okay? And then I have to delete that. Okay, and this is going to be a button which has lookup, okay? And here I want
Search.
lookup word. And it's not going to be original text, but it's going to be look up board, okay?
You don't need the class to be form control.
Placeholder. Okay. So if I click this, nothing happens because, of course, I just removed the thing. And if I type something and click, nothing happens. So I'm happy with that right now. Okay, but then I have my page scripts where I'm going to put my Java crap in a second. However, I need results. All right, because this page needs to have results HTML defined, but it's going to be hidden. Okay, so I'm going to have hidden HTML. So it just on my screen shows like this. But when I click lookup, then my JavaScript is going to unhide that HTML. So I have my results, and then I'm going to put results in there. Does it make sense?
So you will always have it, but it will be.
Yeah, because I'm not going to reload it, so I must prepare it. I have to prepare where that thing is going to be. All right? So I'm not going to put a table like this, obviously, because that I don't need that. Let me just find a little thing.
There was a search, I think.
No, some search results. So maybe I could have like little box like that, but it seems too fancy. I'm just trying to find a page where I can, that's a table. No, don't like any of that. No, that's not even Wexy. Maybe I will just steal this component. Okay, it's not ideal component, but here I can say this is the word that you were looking up. After that, I can add the text that we selected, like, okay, the definition, I think, yep, the definition. And after that, I can add examples. Okay, so this can be my result. Okay, without this ask a question thing. Or what I can do is have this component, ask a question can be my field, and just when I press enter, then it prints out this underneath. Oh, that would look pretty. So let me steal that. All right? So that's why lookup blade, brilliant, but I want to steal from my admin. Resources, teams, WXC, views, my apps force, I think is this one. Nope. Which one it is? Manage. Yep. I think is this. Ah. So. Oh, almost. So some CSS or something is missing that I can't be bothered to look into right now. I don't care about it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just again rename these two things and swap them around and then make these things hidden. Okay, so this admin dashboard will be AICHA, the language file, and it's going to be so this is this text, okay, and then this is that text, all right. So these two texts actually are going to be underneath and they are going to be hidden, okay. So let me, this is the form, car body, all right. So let's see what happened now. Okay, so I swapped them around, which is great. All right, so admin board ask question is not going to be, so it's going to be all right. And this too I want to hide, okay? So if I put a div, okay. What's very important is that, you know, that I keep this structure. Okay, so this made no difference, of course, as I expected it not to make any difference. But I wanted just to put this in one block, which I can then hide and unhide as needed, okay? So what I want to do is, so I need this guy. This is useful, okay. So very simple, make HTML component hidden, okay? I don't know how these things work, you know. Oh, there is a hidden attribute, okay? So paragraph hidden, this should be hidden, all right? Try it yourself. So if I say div hidden, and then refresh that, hop, it's gone, okay? Inspect element. Okay, so this is my card body, and this is div hidden. So see, this div is still here, it's rendered, and if I remove this, what the, it appears there, okay? So, first things first, so right now by default is hidden, okay? So far so good. Now, someone asked me today, can I use JavaScript or jQuery, and can I mix them up? All right. Now jQuery is written in JavaScript. Okay, so every browser supports JavaScript. So jQuery is just like additional functions that don't exist in JavaScript. Okay, so if you want to use those functions, you need to load jQuery JavaScript library, and then after that you can use them normally because they are written in JavaScript, so they can be mixed up. You just need to load it before you use it, okay? But maybe I don't even need jQuery for this thing, okay? So, but anyway, it's loaded on all app source pages by default, so I don't care about it, okay? So, so what I want to do, first of all, is this little input box, okay? I want to create, when I press enter on it, okay, that it gives me, that calls some script, okay, which I'm going to write here, okay? So this is page script, so this is going to be my script. Okay, so that's going to be some function that I'm going to put, which happens when this thing is, well, there's nothing to click, you know, I don't have a button, okay? So I really need either a button, or if I just press enter, I need something to happen, okay?
So you can check if key is pressed.
Yeah, I can do that, but you know, it's an interesting one because it just, I pressed enter and it submitted something somewhere, okay? I guess, input type text, search by placeholder, okay.
It's in a form class, maybe?
Yeah, so it is a form, okay? So what I need to do is figure out how to do that, okay? So I need to ask intelligent question, okay? So it gives me exactly the answer, okay? So press JavaScript, I want JavaScript, so don't give me Python and other stuff. Detect, press enter on
Keyboard.
field. So I press enter on one field. So let's see. Detect the enter key in a text input field. JavaScript Stack Overflow. Oh, brilliant. That's exactly what I want. Detect whether a user has pressed enter with JavaScript jQuery. Okay? So what am I doing wrong? 11 answers. So this I know is jQuery because jQuery always starts with this $sign. So so this is one of the things that we can do. And for me, this was confusing as hell for a while. What is confusing? You know, I expect, okay, this is my HTML and I have some code attached to it. Okay, the code doesn't have to be there, it can be down somewhere else, okay? But this code can be anywhere, it doesn't even have to be in the same file. So when it loads the page, it looks for the element which has that class name, and then it adds a listener later on. So in my code, I don't see that because I'm just loading some JavaScripts, okay, which I don't know what they are doing, and those JavaScripts keep adding these listeners, okay, and that was confusing me as hell. So right now, when I pressed enter, see here, let me just inspect this one. Okay, so this is input field, flex. So I need to have some sort of listener attached to this field, which will call my code. And this listener, hopefully, is that. But the problem is if I have a class name input 1 multiple times, it might add this many times to more than one element, okay?
So does it look for the class name in that specific view or?
Yeah, it's on that view, on that page. You can only see itself, okay? So let me copy this, okay, and paste it here, okay? So it's looking for the element by class name, okay? So this element that I am putting, okay, class name is form control, okay? So let's rename this as my lookup text. Okay, that's a class name, so lookup text.
What does the array 0 mean?
I don't know.
The first element.
The first element because it might have multiple ones. So it adds listener, okay, and if the key is enter, great, console log, enter pressed. And for whatever reason, so right now in my console, if this works, I will have this message there. Now, if I just press enter now, it's not going to work. I need to reload the page, so it loads my JavaScript, okay? And I have to keep an eye on my console to make sure that everything works fine, okay? So if I type some text and press enter, it says enter pressed.
That works.
Okay? Don't know why it reloads the page and why does it say lookup question mark. Okay? Because it looks like my page has something else running, okay? But, okay. So, this variable node is this element, okay? So what I really care is what's the value of this element, okay? So let's say console log one more time. Hopefully I can just say node.value. Let's see, what's the worst thing that can happen? So I type that, press enter, and the value is correct. Okay? No idea why it's reloading my page yet. Is it reloading my page? Yeah. So let's get rid of this form because this doesn't have to be form. Okay. Maybe it's because it's form. It thinks it needs to submit it. Aha, it was that. So far so good. So one of the things that, of course, if the key is enter, I now get the value, which is brilliant, okay. At some stage I want to toggle this hidden, okay. So I want to unhide it, all right. And I will obviously have to have some sort of references to these fields so I can then pass the values to it once that happens. But it's one thing at a time, okay? So what I'm going to look is JavaScript hide and unhide div. Okay, that's exactly what I want to do, all right? How to toggle, okay? Boom, 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 boom. That's pretty much what I want to do. So it says button click. When I click on it, it's going to call the function. This is my div, and this is the JavaScript. All right? But how it's hiding it, it's hiding it by giving it style. All right? So if the style is block, it's going to be displayed. And if it's style, that's a CSS style, okay? So I can't just put the word hidden. I need to put style is none. Display none or something like that. And I can't remember how that is used. Do I type it like this or with quotes or without quotes? I haven't got a clue. So I will Google that too. All right. So CSS style display. Is it correct? Maybe it is. Maybe I'm lucky today. Okay. That's not exactly what I want. Demo inline. Display. Okay. Let's see what happens if I reload my page. Okay, so looks like it's working. Inspect, display none. So if I change this to block, there it is. So different ways to do the same thing. So what I want to do is, so I don't need that anymore. So I need to put it some ID, okay. So this div will have ID, and I'm going to say lookup. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to say copy this. Well, obviously this is a click on button, but in my case is when you press enter. So find me this element which has lookup result. And if X-style display is done, make it block, otherwise make it none. But I don't need that. I don't even need this. I can just say make it block. All right. So if I reload this page, type something, and press enter, I get that displayed. So this, of course, I will do last in my little JavaScript code, because before that I need to do some intelligent things. I need to call something, do something, get some results, process those results, update those fields that I have, and then I can display them, okay? So I'm not going to display them straight away. Okay, so, I want the simplest get call ever. But I hate this example. I actually know this example, and it's confused me more. Okay, jQuery, we are not using jQuery, but we can. Let's copy this. So this has to get some URL, okay, and it's not test the data ASP, it has to be a proper URL. And then when it receives the data and the status from the response, then it shows the alert and says this is your data, this is your status, all right? So what I need to do, and this is why I say this is a little bit silly example, is because he creates this hard-coded file, which I don't like. So I need well, this is a get request. So
Just like
a lookup. Okay, so I will have another, say, lookup Ajax. Okay, so this is going to be a different function, okay, that I'm going to call from here. And let me just say data. So right now, this is probably going to call this URL. In my web roots, I created that URL. All right, and then after this URL, I need to go to lookup controller, create this function Ajax, okay? So lookup controller. Command C, I'm on Apple, not on. Now if I type return works, so this should call my URL. URL will call my controller, the function Ajax, and this function right now says works. So this will be received here as data, and then it will say data, and it should say works. What could go wrong? So I put that, click that, and data works. I'm surprised that it works, but all right. So as you can see, I don't want data. I don't want the alert. I can console log, and then later on just do one thing, console log. Okay, and console log data. Okay.
Can't you console log in the same line do receive the
Yeah, I can. Probably just add
Yeah,
plus.
that's-
So now if I refresh this, I shouldn't get the thing. Okay, so enter press, this received works. Okay, but what I really want is that I get this value passed to my controller. All right? Because right now my controller doesn't know what was typed in. Whatever I type in, it always calls the same thing, you know. So what I will do, slash, okay, plus node value. All right. I'm going to change this slash value or lookup. Or it really makes no difference what you type here. It's just that it has something. Okay. And then in lookup controller, I can say okay. And then I can return works. In PHP I have to put dot. In JavaScript it's plus if I want to add two strings together, okay? So now it should return word works, but it should also return whatever I send to it, okay? So just to make sure that that all works properly. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so I type A, B, C, D, and received works A, B, C, D. All right, so far, so good. So now I know that my controller actually gets whatever I passed in. Okay, so if I type here PPPP, okay, received works PPPP. Good. Now I actually need to call the API here. Okay, so I will return the two values that I want to return from the request that I'm making, all right? So the request that I'm making is this. Okay? And I like to test the APIs in Postman. Why is it so? Display, system preferences. Who cares about app ID? Displays. Can I make this scaled? It's because it's on a projector, so it's, okay, doesn't matter. I wanted to make this bigger, but it really makes no difference. So this is my request. Send. Boom, I get this. I think it's this one here. It says code, and I say PHP. So this is my PHP code that I need to type in order to make this request. All right, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here.
Postman is free.
Yep. So I'm not going to echo response, whatever the response is. I'm going to return it to my JavaScript. Obviously, this is hard-coded with the word hello right now, okay, so, which is fine.
You can add the lookup word in the URL.
Yeah, that's what I plan to do. But let me see. Boom.
Works, hello, and everything here.
So I got the whole thing. I can see it here, all right? So that's great. So I do get the whole result in variable response, all right? But, as I say, I need to put try catch okay, because as I said before, we never know is this going to work. So I said try catch. If there is any errors happening through this thing, okay, I will get some exception, and I don't know what exceptions can happen, so I put very generic exception, just any exception, okay? I can be specific. Give me an exception, I don't know, page not found or something silly like that, but I just put any exception. If this doesn't work, I want something to happen, okay? So if, okay, why is it doing this? Because this, I don't expect this response to work, okay? So, what it can be null, it can be empty, it can be some 500 error or something like that, you know. So I don't know what is it going to return if it doesn't work. That's the thing, you know. It's always good you program it and you may think how it works, and I will just deal with that, but you have to assume it doesn't work, all right? So first things first, okay? So this URL dot, okay? So it calls the word that I'm actually looking for. And since it's in JSON, I will decode the response.
How would you want to decode it?
Because JSON is a string, okay? JSON is a one big string, but I don't need the whole string. I just need some parts of that string, okay? If I decode it, it would convert it in some array, so I can say, give me whatever I want. I can pick and choose, all right? So let's see what happens now, okay? So if I type PPP, get lookup Ajax, I got 500 error.
Maybe you need to write a valid English word.
Yeah, but that's not what I was talking about, okay? So lookup Ajax is /PPP, okay? It's a 500 error.
Maybe it cannot decode it. It cannot decode it.
Maybe this is throwing an error, but if this is throwing an error, then this should catch it. And then it should return. Okay, so very weird. I did something.
Refresh the page?
Hmm?
Did you refresh the page? Before
I did not refresh the page, but I didn't also change the page. I just changed the controller. Okay, so it makes a request to this, so I don't have to. Okay, I can if you really like. Okay, so and then type enter. Boom, I got 500 error. Very strange. Okay, I didn't expect this, but this is when you're programming, you never expect what's going to happen. Okay, so let's see, is there a log? Object of standard class cannot be converted to a string. Okay, AI controller, lookup controller, line 48. Ah. So this is why I thought code.
it's decoded and you're trying
I decoded it, it's an array, and I am trying to put an object as a string, but it doesn't like that. Okay? which is a fair point. But I know exactly what the error is, and I know what to fix, all right? But now, what I want to do is try to see what I really care about, and see, this is like idiotic formatting of this thing, all right? And I hate JSON for this. So I'm going to do something a little bit silly. I'm actually going to go to our browser because we have a web root. So I'm not going to call it from this root. So I'm not going to call it through Ajax. I'm going to type Ajax/PPPP. So because this is a GET request, it should work from the browser. And here I'm going to DD response. So if I do that,
But why wouldn't you just search? Why would you go to the URL? Why would you go to the URL?
well, I'm calling URL through Ajax through JavaScript, okay? But for me personally, you don't have to, I just wanted to see the structure, what is returning it to me. And I like DD because DD gives me very good structure, okay? So as you can see, when I looked up PPP, it has a title, a message, and resolution, okay? No definitions fine, okay? So this is one of the things that I have to take in mind. It might have a title, no definitions fine. If I say chair, then it gives me completely different result. So this API, yeah, it's nice and free, but it's not very good because it's not consistent. So if it works, it gives me an array. If it doesn't work, it gives me something else. Okay, so that's why I needed the controller, so I handle all these cases properly and extract what I need. So 0, word is chair, phonetic this, phonetic 2, meanings, oh my God, okay, oh my God, okay. So I need to kind of extract that, hopefully, all right, that I can do that. And if it doesn't work, I have another, so let me just copy this in a new tab. Okay, so I keep these next to each other. So if I type that, I don't get array.
Isn't this considered an array as well? Like 312?
No, some sort of object of type 312. And otherwise it's an array which first element is an object 312. Brilliant, huh? PHP check is,
But if you would try to get the first index, then it would give you an error, right?
yeah,
So maybe it would just work.
Yeah, but like if we...
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but let's say, okay, DD response. So if, so there is a function called isArray, and I pass the thing in it, and I know is it array or not.
But the way she was saying it is that it should throw an exception if it's not an error.
Yeah, but I don't want to throw exception in this case. I actually want to deal with it. So if it's an array, we are good, else we looked for a bad word, non-existing word. Word doesn't exist. Word does not exist. Okay, that's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, oops. So in this, I will try response is good. good word. I'm just going to hard code it right now just to see is this working. In this case, response is bad word.
You wrote response wrong in the first.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. So if I refresh this, works, good word. If I refresh that, works, bad word. Ah, good. So right? So what the hell? Just that man. So if I refresh this, I get the first element of that array, which is great. If I refresh that, I get,
Works.
yeah, okay. So what I care is
Meanings.
meanings, okay? So
The first element of meanings.
refresh. Aha.
Definition. If we want to display all the definitions or meanings, do we like store them in an array? and-
Definitions is array of 7 elements. So I want definitions 0.
And then definition.
That's my definition. So as you can see, it's very hard to get from the structure of JSON, which is string, I have to convert it, and then I get weird objects and weird structures, which I have to figure out step by step how it's going to be. But is it going to be consistent? If I type a different chair, table, this, is it always going to work like that? Probably not. It's going to have a word which doesn't have meaning 0, something like that, and then that will throw exception, index 0 not found, and then I have error, please try again, so I'm catching that thing. Okay, so I got the definition. So, so that. Okay, and if I now reload this, works, and it gives me finally the definition. Okay, so what I'm going to do is here do this without response in my case, without the word works. I'm just returning response. Okay, and I now need to go back to my page finally. So I am receiving the data. So this data is this text. Okay, and I should be able to see that inside my console. Okay, so let's go back to our page, and if I look chair, okay, received that. Okay, so just to finalize it, now I need to replace this text, okay, and this text with what the hell I was looking for, and so on. Okay, so How do I do that? Okay, how do I put the content of HTML tag with JavaScript? I can Google that, I guess. JavaScript put content in HTML tag.
What ID?
Yeah, but I don't want that. That is,
I think this is the opposite. So you're making it in HTML and then calling it JavaScript.
get element by ID P, inner text is that. Okay, that's what I want to do. Okay. So ID. So this has to have ID. Result. Okay. And then this span, class font style. This will have ID. I think is this one. This is title. This is whatever it was called, definition. Yep. So variable P is get me the. So I have to somehow identify which one of these elements on my page I have. So I'm trying to give them unique IDs. So this give me ID that, and then inner text will be whatever the inner text is inside, and then add-on. But I don't want that. I want to just to be node value. Okay.
Not like that?
No, that's my next one.
Okay.
Okay. So if I type chair, I want this to be chair. I'm just simplifying. I didn't say that at the end, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. So now I have to reload the page because obviously I changed something on the page. So if I type chair, boom, chair. Okay. So you see how it took a little while to change the text into that. So that works, but where it is. Without title, maybe I just delete this whole thing here so it's empty and then appears. Okay, so chair, enter, boom, appears chair, great. And then the second one is result.
Definition.
Yeah, but I just want to copy it in order to make sure that I don't mistype it. And this is data. And now same thing, I can delete this. Oh my God. Okay, reload this. So chair. It says admin dashboard searches, admin dashboard searches. This is the one before.
Why did you do
Actually,
the house spam?
I don't need this spam at all, so I just want that. So reload. Press enter, zoom, chair, an item of furniture, composing of seat, so, okay. I type PPPP, let's make an error. PPP, word doesn't exist, okay. Hat. Brilliant, okay. So that's that. I got all these now console logs.
You can comment them.
So I'm going to comment them out, but I'm going to actually do something intelligent. Control C, Control F, okay, Control B. okay? So I can comment them all out in one go, okay? So, and then I can reverse the thing and enable them again if I need to debug, okay? So if I now reload my page, I shouldn't have any console logs here. So it works without writing anything to console, because it's very useful, console logs, to see what's happening in a browser, but we tend to print everything from credit card numbers, people's passwords and stuff like that, and then we kind of forget to remove them. So it's very useful to remove these things afterwards, okay? So I managed to call the API external one that I found online, that I didn't know anything about it. I made some calls and I made a few things, so it worked quite well. It wasn't too hard, all right? But the key thing that we have to do is manage that. What if the things go wrong, okay? Because I want to inform my user that things went wrong, so the user knows exactly what the hell is going on. However, now I want to make it more complex, all right? Because this is a GET request and I want to make it a POST request. Because the GET request, anybody with URL can just type, and just as I typed that, you know. So if I make it slightly more complex, but we will have one problem, or two. So if I have a GET request in a browser, I type it, it works, but anyone can type it. There's no limitations, you know. They don't have to use my page, they can just get the data from it like that. If I use a POST request, okay, well, that's a proper API calling, okay? So I have to change this whole thing. So if I go here and say this is a POST request, okay, then this will change a little bit. Not this one, sorry. This is dictionary, so this is still GET request. This one doesn't change. Sorry about that. What it changes here is this AJAX, okay? So it's not .get, it's .post. I would assume that it has .post. This then changes to POST. This, I don't have to pass my URL, inside the URL, my data that I'm sending. I can send it as values, key value parameters as such. But there are two things what's going to happen which is going to cause problems. First thing is that every form that we were making before, such as this suggestion blade, had a suggestion, had this CSRF field, okay? Because as I said, Laravel has a protection that when you fill in the form and send a POST request, all right, it wants to generate a hidden token to make sure that this is a real user who just opened that page, so we got that token for that page, and then it submits it, and then Laravel accepts it, okay? That's a protection against bots which would fill in forms again and again and again without even opening the page, okay? They just make the POST request like that. So this is a problem number one, because I don't have a form. I'm making AJAX call, so I don't have a CSRF field. So this page will not work. The second problem is coarse, okay? And this problem which might or might not happen here, but it will happen to you guys at certain stage, is very funny problem, because it's some, when you're calling JavaScript and these functions, browsers don't like if JavaScript goes from one URL to the different URL. What does it mean? So if I'm on aisikha.com and I try to call google.com, I'm going from one URL to the different URL, all right? Browsers don't allow that, because this is a typical exploits, okay? So you can only make requests to your own page. You can't make requests to the different pages.
You mean domain? Or just like with the slashes?
Well, it depends what the browser thinks as what's different. So let's say appsource.com and appsource.com on a different port, it's a different for it thing. So it keeps complaining about that. All right. So what I want you guys as a homework to do, okay, is turn this into a post request. Okay? So what I want this to happen, okay, look up blade. This, I don't want it to be get, and I don't have to have slash node value. This has to be key value here. So inside the body, I have this form data, and I say, you know, term is whatever chair, or whatever I passed, okay? So I don't have the this slash.
Didn't we have to add a key for every word in the English dictionary?
What the key to? What do you mean?
So like we should have a key for every word that he can search.
But there is no key. Key is lookup is a key.
Okay.
And then in the request, you say request arrow lookup, and then it gives you the value of that key.
But why would you turn it into post? I just don't still understand the difference. I saw get when you want to display the page, for example, and post when you want to submit something.
I am submitting something. I'm submitting the data, chair, or whatever my data is.
Where you submit?
Hmm?
Where do you submit it?
To my website, to my controller.
But if you want to make it a post, wouldn't the page have to refresh?
No. Ajax allows me to do it without. Okay. And all these Vue.js, AngularJS, and all that sort of stuff, they do this all the time. This is how they work. So they have lots of these JavaScripts which just keep asking the backend, give me this data, give me this data. Once they receive it, they just stick it on a page. So once again, if I am just opening a random page, I'm not sending any data to the server except what page I want to see, I will make a GET request. If I'm sending some data to the server, I need to make a POST request. Now, this GET request, because there is no writing to the database, there is no queries being performed, it's quite hard to hack, and then that's why we make them open to everyone. So every user can make a GET request, just type a URL in the browser, you will see the page, okay? But if I'm posting the data, I can post malicious data. I can post the data which is incorrect. So instead of my email, I just type 123, so I have to check that. But I can also, in this form, type SQL commands, okay? Select star from users, okay? Now, it's some websites, all the websites are idiotic, which would actually execute this SQL command. And then as a response, instead of covering the head, you will get a list of all the users. Okay? So, and then if I'm writing scripts which are going to hack this website, I'm going to try 25 different things. So I just keep bombarding them, select star, give me a username, give me, you know, I'll try to do that. So I have to have some protection. So if I'm sending any data, I'm making a post request. Okay? The number one protection is this CSRF, okay? So which is generated uniquely for each user when they load the page. So I have to load the page and see the page and use the CSRF, okay? That's number one protection. So I can't write a script because scripts don't open the page, they just call the URL directly, okay? So that's number one. Number two is course, okay, which doesn't allow me to call from a different website, this website, okay? So browser prevents that and says, no, you can't make that request. And there are other, you know, ways of us to ensure the integrity of the website so it doesn't crash. We can, for example, very cool stuff with APIs when we build them. In Laravel, you can say throttle. Okay, so you just write $throttle equals, I don't know, 20 or something like that. And then that user can only have 20 requests per minute. So $throttle 3 requests per minute. So they can't just refresh. It says, hey, hold on, you're making too many requests. Okay, so prevents scripts from asking that. I can bend the IP, you know, if the user is constantly making mistakes, well, either it's a very stupid user or is a script bot running something and trying things, I can bend the IP, don't send me any more requests and so on. Okay, so post is better for security. Then you have delete and patch as a typical other tool. Patch, you would update some data with patch, and delete, you would delete a record with delete, you know, request. So it's not always get and post, those two are the most common, but you have others as well. And we should use the correct one. Yes, it will work with get, but you are not a good programmer if you just keep using get for this type of things. Okay, so I showed you with the get, your homework, same thing, make it with post. Okay, I'm going to go here, okay, and go to my source control. And inside my AI SIHA, I see a few things. Okay, I'm in the master branch, which is great. I see that I have nothing in front or behind. There are no pushes. Nobody made any pushes, which is great. So I have three changes, which is my lookup controller, my lookup blade, and web PHP, which is great. And I can click on them and just verify, aha, the only change is I added these 3 lines here, which is exactly what I want. So I'm quite happy with this. So lookup controller and page. I can put what sort of word or English word. So this is my message. I commit, and now I can see that I'm one in front of repository over there because I just have a newer version than my main repository. So I can click this button, sync changes. I can see this blue thing done. Okay, so now this is pushed. So what you guys need to do, of course, when you get home to do this, you will need to pull these changes. You know, but if you have existing changes, you have to deal with them as well. All right, I didn't have a break today. Nobody reminded me of the break. And naughty people for TV didn't show up to collect it. Any other questions?
When you refresh the page, the word that you searched last is already displayed. Why is that?
No idea.
Is this Ajax integrated in the get jQuery thing, or what? How do you use it?
Ajax is one of the methods that JavaScript has to make a HTTP request. Okay? Now, I use jQuery's version of it, but I could have used the first one that one of those results, which was normal JavaScript, okay? But Ajax stands for asynchronous thing, okay? So JavaScript doesn't wait for the results to come in, okay? JavaScript continues executing, okay? And what this means is that my JavaScript, okay, if I call Ajax, see this thing here appeared before I got results. So I didn't block the UI. It's not that the UI was frozen for 3 seconds. It actually drew the stuff and then it updated the values. You could actually see the values being changed. Okay, so the values are changed once it's received. So it's not synchronous. It's not one after another. It's whenever it happens.
But it should be after the press of enter. So
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but that's what I said. If the key event is enter here, then do my asynchronous request.
yeah, but okay, yeah.
Okay, but this thing happened before this one was finished, even if it's written afterwards. That's asynchronous calls. I can make asynchronous calls, which will wait for the response. But what if that server takes 3 minutes to respond? My whole UI is frozen, nothing is happening, user can't go back and forth. And you have all seen websites like that. And you keep banging on the mouse like, what the hell is going on? Okay, so
Yeah.
Ajax, nicer for the user. Asynchronous JavaScript, whatever it stands for, I don't care. Any other questions? So see, the thing that I have in my controller, this curl, this is not asynchronous. This is waiting for the response. And then it will respond back to the JavaScript eventually. Okay, so this can take as long as it takes. I don't care. But the user interface, user can go there, change their mind, do whatever they want. I don't care, you know. But it's quite fast. So that's kind of why Vue.js, I think, these Angulars and so on are popular, because you have that speed, you know, the page looks responsive much faster in responsiveness. It doesn't have to wait, you know, each time, you know, you click and then, oh, it's loading a page, and then it goes away, and then, you know, boom, it happens whenever it happens, so it looks better. Any other questions, guys?
When you have the page open, there's like a little heart at the bottom.
Sorry, there is what?
There's like this little heart, almost like a light. You see, like at the bottom
And the bottom right.
right, yeah. So
that's the footer.
and like I've had that with like several times when like I create pages and stuff. Like, is that just the default of Lexi or?
No, a little hard. Okay. No, it's my footer. My admin resources Lexi includes footer, data feeder, arrow. Yeah, this guy.
Much love.
So it's in the footer.
Yeah, it's in a footer of AppSource, okay, and then because every application gets the same footer from AppSource, so if I change this to big nose, I guess it doesn't exist, but it's a different topic, icons, but all these are little icons that you can use quite a few different ones. Typically, we use Font Awesome because it has thousands of so if you look at Font Awesome, okay, what I quite like about it is okay, fine search icons. Okay, 16,000 icons. So if you want a big nose, maybe it will actually find, no big nose.
This nose.
Nose,
I mean, this is first 9.
yeah.
You have to import something from here.
Yeah, but AppSource has it already, you know, so we don't care. So all these little icons and titles, note, and so on, you can use on any page just by adding,
Yeah.
you know, this data feather is slightly different one, but it's another group of icons, but makes no difference. All these ones on the left in this menu, they are Font Awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, and you have 2, 3 variations. Any other questions? No? Nobody online? Well, it was a complete and utter disaster. I didn't manage to do what I wanted to do, but at least we managed to have a little practice with these APIs, and at the same time I explained about JavaScript and Ajax, so I think we actually learned something, so it wasn't a complete waste of time, I hope. Guys, thank you very much. Have a nice day. See you next time. Bye-bye. Are they coming?
They said 5 minutes, so now.
All right. We waited for us to finish. Actually there, but they're going in the wrong direction. Hello. Hello. Don't speak Dutch, but that's the TV just behind there. Yeah,
Oh.
TV,
Yes, very nice.
yeah.
What was the problem?
It's too big. It's not too big, it's perfect size, but the screen is like, it's not shuttered, but it has some white lines it shouldn't be, so it looks like it's been hit, but there's no damage on it.
Strange.
It's,
Okay.